What up, peeps? Whoa, camera's slipping. It's Carpo here, and I just made this, or just got done watching this video, and there was a part of it that really got me inspired and boosted. Inspired in the sense that I saw that there are other people who can see certain points that I've been trying to make without sounding like a dick. In other words, well, I posted it. I actually shared it to Google Plus. I wanted people to see these particular segments. But there's a guy that was speaking on there, and he was talking about Sheeple and how the people that call each other Sheeple, it's just become another, just like the jocks, they're just like the stoners. There's the knower group or the knowledge group, and how it's become a method of separating people from one another, and how people are very happy to have people thinking that they're, quote, awake, which I myself just get really tired of hearing that. And the way he was saying is, people talk about how they're aware of they're sitting behind their computers learning about the Illuminati, New World Order, and the potential for martial law and ancient knowledge, and then they consider themselves awake. This is not being awake. And this is in no way related to being awake. This is learning information, and that is not being awake. But in the sense of what is awake, I don't know, and I'm not going to sit and speculate. But my personal opinion is that it has to do with finding the self and understanding the world around us, and taking these old ideas and using them for our lives, not just for the sake of knowing them. So I'm going to try to condense this. I know it'll probably be a long video, but one thing that was mentioned there was he was talking about symbolism. And this is what really inspired me to make this video, because it resonated with me so strongly. The way he put it was, in a sense, symbolism. You can't show somebody a symbol and teach them. You cannot learn from symbols, but rather symbols arise from the process of knowledge and learning. Symbols are a byproduct of our awareness and our knowledge and our paying attention and seeing systems, archetypes. The way he conveyed it was so eloquent, there's no way that I haven't been able to vocalize this, because it's something that's just been in the back of my mind, mulling around, and I prefer to just kind of keep it to myself most of the time, because people become really offended, because there's a lot of people out there who are teaching ancient knowledge, but so much of it's speculation, it has to be called out. It's part of this video, and I wanted to say something that really about these videos. The one I was watching was called Ancient Knowledge, and I've watched bits and pieces. It's like a 6-part series, maybe more. I don't know. It was part 6 that I was watching. I had parts 1 through 4 on in the background. I'd already seen them in the past, and it started out dealing with ancient Egypt. They were talking about, Fibonacci and Phi and the pi and the different sequences and the mathematical equations of the pyramids and all these different ancient information. But by part 5, it's like they ran out of information. And halfway through the video, he started talking about George W. Bush and Illuminati crap, and it really loses interest for me, but it's because the title is Ancient Knowledge. And I know that many of these modern ideas tie into this, but it doesn't. I guess I'm just trying to say, people can do whatever they want. People can make whatever kinds of shows they want. And I'll just, I'll watch them and I'll pick out the pieces that I think are interesting. But I think that a lot of people, and this is kind of like my video yesterday where I said the reason why I don't try to cater to any particular thing or like monetize is because people expect things. One of the things the guy said on that video, he was saying that people always, say that you should be doing this or you should be doing that, or demand an answer. if he makes a video and somebody makes a comment on it, let's say, somebody will demand that he answer them as if he's obligated. And he said, "What am I getting paid for this? I don't answer to you. I don't answer to anybody." And I just knew right where it was coming from. And I've had people leave me comments, debating something that I believe or think, and it's like, hey, that's fine. I welcome your debate, but if I don't want to discuss it with you, I don't have to. Sometimes it's not worth a discussion. It turns into an argument, and we always see these coming. So if you say no thanks, goodbye, people will say, oh, you're a coward, or you don't know what you're talking about. So many of these people have to deal with this stuff, the big guys who are really into deep research. And, the symbolism thing really got to me, because this is how I feel. When I was younger, I would read books about symbols and try to understand these, the symbolism behind it. Later in life, when I started doing a lot of this research on the ancient world, and then on the modern world, and understanding how these certain things, such as, how magnetism and electricity may affect the universe, and the electric universe theory, and all of a sudden, the symbols start to take on new meanings for me, the way that they should be. And sometimes I'll think of a symbol or see a symbol, and I'll assign a meaning to it based on what it means to me. And then if I look into it to see what the original meaning was, it'll often be close. And what that shows is an understanding of basic geometric patterns and how they relate. Now, I'm definitely not an expert on ancient symbology by any means. I just, I really thought that was an important point, because everybody's telling everybody else what things mean. During this video, actually, there was one guy who said that the word sin from the Bible was originally derived from the word sine, which had to S-I-N-E, relating to the sine waves and having to do with frequency and vibration. And I couldn't buy it. I didn't believe it. It's bullshit, because this English language and the way that we're using it, it's just no better than using English names for numerology. And I'm not going to deny that there's a hidden mathematical sequence behind everything, and that even an English name may have some sort of an energy to it. In fact, everything has an energy to it. Every idea, every thought. But the arrogance of people to think that they can know what that means is where it gets confusing, because, when a person says, there's got to be some energy to this, yes, but if you're trying to tell us what that energy is, where it's localized, how to manifest it, we're asked for answers. And then people will say, well, you're just not awake enough yet, or you haven't developed your senses, or, whatever it may be. So it's just one of those things, I guess. There are certain things that can be taught. Academics can be taught. Being awake and aware cannot be taught. And symbols cannot be taught. And ancient meanings and archetypes cannot be taught. They can be shown, they can be described, they can be explained. But ultimately, what happens, and this is where I think I'll probably get some shit, but that's okay. In the past, when there were groups who were deep thinkers and had ideas, philosophies, they were often not approved of by the local at-large community, such as the Christian community, or whatever the particular religion of the area was. So many of these thinking groups, philosophers, had to hide themselves away, meet in secret, in order to talk about just life in general, to maybe dispute that the earth wasn't at the center of the universe. Over time, they realized that if we were ever going to get past this, we had to find like-minded people to discuss issues with. Being on the internet allows us to just find those people, but it also allows the douchebags to flow in, and that's just fine. But you can't just close the door. You can hit the block button, or you can ignore them. But it's very difficult to find a group of people to have a discussion with that are all in the same state at the same point. But in my belief, this is what the Freemasons were all about in the beginning. I know that a lot of folks talk so much crap about the Freemason movement and how they're trying to dominate the world and turn everything on its head. And I believed that at one time until I realized that almost all of that comes from the Christian right. That the Freemasons are not strictly Christian. There's some Christians, there's some Muslims maybe. It's basically, it has its own system, but it's not a religion. And a lot of people don't like that idea, so they feel threatened by it. So instantly the Masons become the scapegoat for everything that's wrong. But the reality was, between the Freemasons and the science, the whole idea was to understand more about ourselves and about the hidden knowledge or hiding the knowledge. Considering the way that most people behave in today's society, the knowledge to manifest your desires or to understand the deeper meanings might not be the best tool for everyone. In other words, you have to earn that. You have to be monitored when you're a little kid and you're playing with certain tools, and that's how society seems to be. We just can't handle ourselves. We're still at war. We're constantly abusing one another. We're constantly taking. And it's just the same along the lines of if there was an alien race, watching over us, the old joke about, how they're monitoring us. Why don't they help us? And I always would say, well, if they were around, why would they help us? We're acting like kids. We're spoiled brats. We don't listen to anybody. So finding our own way is important, and don't let anybody teach you what things mean. But doesn't mean you don't have to close your ears to anybody. We listen to each other and we learn. I'm not going to deny that I've learned a lot from these shows I've watched. But like the guy said, people think they go out and watch a 6-hour David Icke documentary and think that they're awake and they know what's going on. And that's utter bullshit. You could listen to all these people your entire life and you still won't know what's going on. It's only through life experience that you can convey and confirm many of these things. So, I guess that's enough. I'll just turn it off there because it's one of those subjects that I could go on and on about. But symbols, for me, have become... The universe tells me what a symbol means. The symbol tells me what it means, rather than mankind telling me what that symbol means. And you take a symbol such as the cross. If you think that there's a solid answer for everything, take a simple shape like the cross or a circle and look it up and see how many different meanings there are, or rather a square. Circle usually represents a cyclical nature, of course, but it can represent all kinds of shit. So, I'm not trying to demean anybody's research by any means here. I'm just saying that be careful if we are teaching others to make sure that we're not saying this is how it is. Because there's too much of this is what this means and this is what this means. And not enough open just, I don't know. Like one of my favorite sayings, when did I don't know become a dirty word?